If you're on YouTube at all and you're on the atheism, theism discussion at all, then you've probably seen the Wolf Blitzer video in which Wolf Blitzer asks the survivor if they were thankful to God that their lives were spared in a tornado that destroyed their house. To which the person answers, well, I'm an atheist. And then you have atheists like David Pakman saying, well, hey, look what good your God did. He just ruined all these buildings and killed a bunch of people. And on the other side of the coin, you have people like the Westboro Church saying that God did this on purpose because you're all sinners and he hates you. Well, I have a third option, and I'd like you to consider it.
Oh, life is bigger. It's bigger than you are not me. The links that I will go to, the distance in your eyes.
All the time, people are using the circle logic that since bad things happen, that God cannot exist. It would be the equivalent of saying, well, you know, parents don't exist because parents let bad things happen to their kids. No, parents don't let bad things happen to their kids. Bad things happen. Let's take, for example, weather patterns. Because a storm or a tornado or a hurricane rips through a town, destroys a town, kills numerous people, that, well, this is proof that there's no God because God wouldn't allow things like that to happen in the first place. Here we have a circular logic going around. Let's take a look in comparison about other planets in our own system. Jupiter has 400-mile-an-hour winds blowing in both directions at the same time, up and down the planet, and it also has this hurricane that's been going on since the time that we first discovered it. Jupiter also acts as a guard in our solar system, protecting us from meteorite collisions and other heavy objects.
On Jupiter's moon Io, Voyager's cameras spotted 9 erupting volcanoes. They documented volcanic plumes reaching 300 kilometers into the atmosphere at velocities of 1 kilometer every second. Skimming over 5,000 kilometers above the planet's north pole, Voyager found Neptune to be a giant ball of melted rock and ice. Cloaked in hydrogen, helium, and methane gases, its atmosphere is whipped by winds of 1,000 kilometers per hour. Flying in closer than any spacecraft has come to one of the outer planets, Voyager 2 discovered at least 4 complete rings of ice and rock, 6 new moons, and a great dark spot, a hurricane the size of Earth, raging in Neptune's southern hemisphere. The storm circles the planet every 18 hours and rotates around its own axis every 16 days.
Now we see on these planets, and within our own solar system, that there is a lot, and I mean a lot, by a factor of 100, a lot of chaos going on these planets. We've got winds whipping around at like 1,000 miles an hour. We have volcanic plumes, you know, that dwarf whatever we have in comparison. And on this one planet we have a hurricane that is non-stop. The size of the hurricane is as big as Earth, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going around and around and around this planet. And if we take a look at our own planet in comparison, we have these things. We have them on such a small scale. It doesn't mean that God doesn't exist because bad things happen. If anything, it's more proof that God does exist, only because of the fact that all this stuff that happens on such a multiplied scale on other planets has been scaled down to a micro of what's happening on other planets. I think the fact that the planet doesn't just shake us off like fleas on a dog, is more proof in favor of rather than proof against that God exists.